So Miller Whedon, my business partner, he owns Raintight General Contracting here in Dallas, and he's been in the business for 25 years. And we were riding around, about 6 months ago, and he said, "Look at all these roofs all over Dallas. Someone is doing all of these roofs, and it's not if it's not us, it's one of the other, however many thousands of roofing companies are in Dallas. But somebody's getting their business, and there's reasons behind it. It's not like, oh, they just got lucky and they got a phone call. It has to do with the ones that are really getting most of the business. It's a tailored strategy to get their target customer." All right, as I stated, I have a special guest on the show today, Joe Hughes with Contractor Dynamics. So, Joe, thanks for being on the show, man.
My pleasure, Dylan. Really excited to dig in here.
Yeah, same here. And the reason I was excited to have you on is because you're not some fly-by-night marketer. You really partner with general contracting and roofing companies in a unique way. And with my background in online marketing, I see huge value to what you do and how you partner with companies to grow their brands. So I'm really looking to digging into what we have as our outline here. And one of the things we talked about leading up to the show was, what are some of the biggest challenges facing general contracting and roofing companies when it comes to getting in front of that, target customer that they're after. And one of the things you brought up was a lot of them are just 100% focused on sales, and there's a real weakness there. So can you kind of unpack that?
Yeah, sure. So whether it's roofing or general contracting or really any other type of contracting company, most companies get started by having the ability to sell, like go out and, eat what you kill, right? Go out and hunt for some customers, find some people that need your services today. And that's a great asset for a roofing company to have, is to be great at sales, because that's what drives business. Cash is king. If you can make everything work on the back end, which I know you guys work with your groups on. But the thing is that you got to remember, in roofing and contracting, only a very small percentage of any given market is ready to do something today, whether it's get an estimate, get an inspection, get a quote, even just talk to you to learn more about your company. Right. So this is a high ticket purchasing decision that people are making, whether it's retail out of pocket or whether it's an insurance restoration situation. It's still a big decision to make. So only a very small percentage of people in any market are ready to take action today. But if you think about it, if you're in, say, Dallas, or you're in Memphis, Tennessee, everyone in your market is going to get their roof replaced at some point. Right. So the big win is getting out in front of your market consistently so that people can raise their hands when they're ready, because you never know when they're going to be ready. They might not know when they're going to be ready, but get out there consistently so you can be the company that they have top of mind when they're ready to make that decision, or at least have that conversation. So that's the big opportunity that most roofing and contracting companies are missing out on.
That's a great point. That's something. So Miller Whedon, my business partner, he owns Raintight General Contracting here in Dallas, and he's been in the business for 25 years. And we were riding around, about 6 months ago, and he said, "Look at all these roofs all over Dallas. Someone is doing all of these roofs, and it's not if it's not us, it's one of the other, however many thousands of roofing companies are in Dallas. But somebody's getting their business, and there's reasons behind it. It's not like, oh, they just got lucky and they got a phone call. It has to do with the ones that are really getting most of the business. It's a tailored strategy to get their target customer." So before we get into all that, some people may think, well, who is Joe Hughes with Contractor Dynamics? Dylan kind of, jumped right into the interview questions. Kind of give a little bit of background on who you are and how you got into this space.
Yeah, sure. So I run Contractor Dynamics, contractordynamics.com. We are a marketing training company for the roofing industry. So it's a little bit different of a model than most people might be aware of. We don't actually run your ads or build your websites or do your videos for you. We train you on how to do all that. We train you on how to do marketing in your roofing company, so you can build out a marketing system in your roofing company, and you have control over your growth. So the way that we got into that is, long story short, I grew up in my family's commercial construction business here in New Jersey and up in New York City. When I was 14, my first job ever was going up to the shipyard in Brooklyn and like literally painting tugboats and barges and welding and driving a forklift and cutting steel and like playing with some big toys. It was a lot of fun. So I worked there in the family biz for about 15 years, and I left in 2012. And on good terms, I just wanted to do something more entrepreneurial. It's a 126-year-old company, my family's business. So I just wanted to do something kind of on my own. And I had a passion for marketing and business, and learned a lot of different systems, and had the background in construction, and saw the need for marketing in the construction industry. So we started back in 2012. We've worked with hundreds of companies all throughout North America, from startups doing a couple $100,000 a year to companies that do over 100 million a year. And really, Dylan, like everyone is the commonality that all those companies have is they're sales focused, and they're looking to build out that marketing piece.
And the thing I like about your story is, like you said, you grew up in the space around the world of contracting, general contracting and just construction. And then you saw a need and you dove in to help solve that problem. And for guys listening to this that think, well, I know I need to do some marketing stuff, but is it really that important? Well, I know two things because of my background in online marketing. And that is on Google, if you're not in the first three spots, you're, 80% of buyers end up buying and doing business with somebody in the first three spots of Google, unless you're running paid ads. And then as far as Facebook goes, people look at your brand, they look at the amount of reviews you have, they look at the content, they want to get to know you. And if they see you and then they look at your competitor and they see all this stuff they can interact with, and then they look at you and it's crickets and they haven't seen a social media post in 6 months, it's an easy choice. Who do you think they're going to go with? They're not going to go with you. This stuff is critical. And so that's why I think it's really cool that you have really gotten laser focused on this. And I really like the idea of helping train companies to do this themselves, because let's face it, you can train somebody to do this, but if you engage in this process as an owner in the company or a key executive, once you become educated, you can have a better hand on the pulse of what's actually happening and not think, well, let's throw a few $1,000s at it and hope it works. You need to be an educated buyer in the process. So I really like that. So what you're doing is you're coming in, you're partnering with companies, and you're helping them to get their brand, their marketing strategy in place and stuff like that. So let's clear up the word that we hear a lot, which is brand. What is a brand? Why is that important?
Let's start with what a brand is not, because I know a brand can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and it does, right? A brand can be your logo or your truck wraps or your shirts and hats and everything like that. What we're talking about is not necessarily that. We're talking about a company that people in your market know. Like, so think about it as top of mind. People know of your company when they have a need for roofing repair or replacement or whatever it is that you do in contracting, or even if they don't have a need, but someone they know has a need, you want to be that top of mind company. So when you have a brand, you become one of those top of mind companies in your market. We like to say top of mind is tip of tongue, right? So you say roofing company, you say plumber, you say architectural design firm in your town, like who comes to mind? Those are the companies that have brand recognition. So that's what we want to achieve. A lot of people on this listening or watching might have heard the phrase that people buy from people or companies that they know, like, and trust. And that's absolutely true. And I would take that a step, go deeper on that and say the biggest part there is know. Like, people have to know who you are before they can even like you or trust you. So building a brand is quite simply like getting your market to know that you exist. And then you can take those additional steps of building know, like, and trust, which we can get to later in the episode.
Okay. So as you explain that, I think to myself, well, a lot of roofing guys or general contractors who focus on roofing may think our brand is fine. But I know, as somebody that's been on the marketing side, when you're on the outside looking in, a lot of them look the same. It's Joe Schmo Roofing over and over and over again. And it's a logo with a little house symbol. And as a home buyer, as a homeowner, they all look the same. It's really difficult to know who to go with, what's the difference and stuff like that. So can you kind of explain some of the key points of the benefits of a brand and making that brand really clear?
Yeah, it can be hard. Listen, I mean, you're in Dallas. There's thousands of roofing companies, like pretty much in every state. There's a lot of competition, right? So it can be hard to think about, okay, what really makes us different? We use the same shingles, the same products that the guy down the street uses. We have the same access to the financing and warranties and all those good things. When people are buying or engaging with a service-based business, whether it's us as a training company or you as a consultant or roofing or contracting company, it's really about the experience. It's about how can you give me the solution that I'm after, give me the result that I'm after, and make my life easier, like make my life better. Don't add a lot of work, and a lot of obligations to my already busy life and business life and schedule. How can you make this a seamless experience? And so that's what we want to communicate as service-based businesses to our market. So if you go through the exercise of what can I say as a roofing company in Dallas that no other roofing company in Dallas can say, there's exceptions, but that can be really hard. I know there's a roofing company called K-Post in Dallas. They did the roof to I think AT&T Stadium and Texas Rangers Stadium. So they use those things in their marketing, which are things that no other company can say. So that's a unique situation and good for them, right? But if you're not at that level, then what you can do is you can show. Like, don't tell people how amazing you are. Show people. And the best way to do that these days is with video, right? Video of your team, of you, your company, and more importantly, videos of your clients, your customers talking about their experience working with you. Video is going to go a long way into showing people what you're all about. Basically, what you want to, the point you want to get across or the emotion that you want to elicit in a prospective client is, okay, I understand these guys. I know they understand me. I feel good about them. I feel good that they're going to be taking care of me. They're going to be a trusted advisor in this whole process to me. And I'm comfortable with that whole process. So there's a lot of things we can unpack there, but that's kind of an overview of how you want to communicate to your market.
Yeah, that's so good. And I just want to stop for a minute and ask those listening to this, are you using video content? I mean, are you creating videos? I know when I joined my business partner, Miller, the first thing I started doing was creating educational videos for our target audience to say, hey, here's the reasons why you really need to make sure you're going with a great general contractor to get your roof done. Here are multiple steps that should be checked off on the list as part of the process for you, the homeowner. If not, run the other way. You're working with somebody that's going to do a sloppy job or not give you world-class customer service. And so that's with, like you said, in Dallas, I mean, it's like you mentioned K-Post. I almost said, yeah, a little bitty company nobody knows about. Yeah, there's these huge companies. And so what I decided for me is I'm going to differentiate myself by being an educator. And so every homeowner that I interacted with, I would tell them, I'm gonna be an educator with you. You're gonna be an educated person, and knowledge is power in this industry, because there's thousands of people you could call, and you don't know the difference in the shingles. You don't know if anybody's cutting quarters. You don't know what the price should be. If you file a claim, you have no clue what that whole process is really all about with your insurance company. What they give you is really an offer. It's not a final word on what they're going to pay out. So we would over-educate people. And then after a while, they would say, gosh, I actually got bids from 2 other contractors. They didn't tell me any of this stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the key. We want you as a client for life. We don't just want to replace your roof this year. There's going to be multiple hailstorms over the next 10 years. So are those of you listening to this doing video? Are you educating your customers? But you got into some other aspects as you and I were nailing down content for this interview about the benefits of a brand. So can you kind of unpack some of those?
Yeah, the benefits of having a brand. So the benefits of having a company, or even if you are an individual sales rep and you're not an owner, if you're working within a company and you're building your own personal brand, which is your reputation, the benefits of having people who know who you are the obvious of people that need your services, or people that need roofing services or contracting services. You're going to be top of mind, as we talked about. When you have a brand, this is something that not a lot of companies think about, but you're going to be able to attract top talent, sales reps, project managers, production managers, admin staff, like whoever else you need to fill out the roles in your team. People have a choice these days, right? They can go work for a bunch of different companies. They can even sit home and, collect checks from the government these days, which can be lucrative. So you really got to sell those top people that you've got something, you've got a brand that they can attach themselves to and they can grow within your company. And that's not only going to attract people, but it's going to retain people more. Because when you do have a brand, you're going to grow your business more predictably. You're going to be more profitable. It's a win-win-win scenario. A couple other benefits that people might not think about. It gives you an opportunity to get involved in your community. Being involved in your community is something that it's important to me. I know it's important to a lot of the roofing company owners and leaders that we work with. That's a big part of who they are. And it's also, the byproduct of that is it's good for marketing, showing that you're a part of your community by actually being a part of your community. And then another one is, this might be something that's not top of mind right now, but when you have a brand, it gives your company more value. So if there's ever an opportunity to sell your company or perhaps buy a different company or acquire different companies, grow by acquisition, then having that brand opens you up to those opportunities that you never would be able to imagine. So there's no downside to building a brand.
That's a powerful statement. Yeah, there's no downside. And that's, interesting. A lot of guys that are younger, that are just starting out in this space, aren't really thinking about their exit strategy, but that is something that comes up in our roofing CEO groups, is how they position themselves for sale. And, we talk about having the right people, the right processes, and keeping score so that somebody can come in and look over the last 5 years and see a balance sheet that's attractive and see processes that are illustrated and followed by everybody and repeatable, and see a situation where the owner can work on the business and not just in the business 80 hours a week. So that's great. A great point that brand adds to that. So for people that are listening to this and they're thinking, okay, both of you guys have experience in marketing. Can you clear this up a little bit? Do you have like a case study or an example of somebody that's just knocking it out of the park with their brand and they're getting traction with it?
Well, I'll give you a couple. So I'll give you one that's a more established company, and then one that's a younger company that's kind of, at the $1 to $2 million range. So an established company would be D&M Roofing in Omaha, Nebraska. They are in Des Moines, Iowa, and they are, as we speak, opening up their third office in Florida, growing by acquisition. So company D&M Roofing, run by Eric Obram. They've been in business like 52 years, I believe, second generation family biz. They've been growing, pretty steadily. And Eric is he's a very smart guy. He's always had a lot of creative ideas as far as creating a brand and being on a local radio show and doing some different things. And so we've been working with them for a few years, and just this year, Eric was like, you know what? I got all these ideas. I don't really want to work 80 hours a week. Like, I've done that. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to work smarter, not harder. So he brought on a full-time marketing manager in-house named Lindsay, and they've been able to execute on a ton of different campaigns. So they'll run, even over the winter, they'll run brand awareness videos to get in front of commercial property owners, commercial building owners, just to let them know that they exist. Let them know that there's been storms in the area. Let them know of some solutions they might have to restore their roof without necessarily replacing the whole thing. Some maintenance programs they have. So they've been doing a ton of marketing around client acquisition and also recruiting heavily in their 3 locations. And they're just actually today, the reason I brought them up, or they're top of mind with me, is because they're having their grand opening party at their brand new office in Nebraska today that they built from the ground up. So they've been able to grow extremely fast over the past few years by working smarter, not harder, and by implementing some of these strategies and year round, not just when a storm comes or not just when it's, May and everyone's busy. Even though they're in Nebraska and Iowa, they're going year round with their marketing and brand building.
And this is a client of yours, right?
Yes.
And see, this is one of the things that stands out to me about what you guys are doing in that case study you just mentioned. If you run Google pay-per-click ads and you can show up, somebody does roof repair, whatever it is, Dallas, Texas, you pay your cost per click or whatever, you get that call or you get that action on your website. Hopefully your sales team immediately jumps on that. They get a good response or whatever. It does nothing for your brand. I'm not saying it's not valuable. It's a strength in that you can be somebody's answer. The buyer started the buying process. You were the answer. That's great. But the huge weakness to that is as soon as you turn that off, it's over. And they're not going to find you anymore. And it does nothing for your brand. Whereas the difference in what you're doing is, yes, there can be immediate results with Facebook ads and videos and a good call to action and a good process, a good funnel. But it's long-term what it does for your brand. When you get these videos, that's evergreen content. You get them on your website, you get them on your Facebook page, you get more people that are your followers and stuff like that. And so when you talk about what they did that was successful, and you said they used videos, are they running videos like on their own Facebook page? Are they running ads? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I just want to touch on what you mentioned about running ads and not doing anything for your brand. Think about it like owning a home versus renting a home, right? You can rent a house and you can pay rent and you can have a place to sleep at night. The minute you stop paying rent, or the month after or whatever, you no longer have a place. You have nothing, right? As opposed to owning a home, you're paying that mortgage every month. You're building equity into that home, so you have an asset. So when you're brand building, you're building your asset rather than just like renting traffic from Google or Facebook or whatever. So
that is an awesome analogy.
Figure we bring it home to the, construction, right? Everyone can relate to that. So yeah, they're videos. So a lot of them, simple cell phone videos like this, which we, train them on how to do pretty efficiently. What they did which is cool, is they built a relationship with a local video company in Omaha. So every quarter or so, they would have that video company that come out, that production company, and do some, higher end, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but, maybe spend a few grand on a few videos that they're really going to be able to use as assets for, a year. Like if you go to dnmroofing.com, you'll see the big video on their home screen or the homepage of their website. It's like a testimonial mashup, which is professionally done. But most of their stuff is just, simple, either like Eric, the owner, at his desk on his webcam, or the guys out in the field on their phones and whatnot. And so it's a lot of the organic, which is the non-paid, like organic, just posting on their business page, and then the people in the company sharing on their personal profiles as well. So that's the foundation. And then when they want to run a campaign for hiring or pour fuel on the fire, if there's a specific storm, or if it's busy season, or they have like a winter siding special because they can do siding in the colder weather, whereas with roofing, they have to kind of cut it off at a certain point. They'll pour fuel on that fire with some paid ads. Like Dylan just said, like, don't expect to like do nothing and then just pay Google or Facebook for a bunch of, ad traffic and expect a miracle. It's about having that foundation of that regular, consistent content like every week. And then when you really want to pour fuel on the fire, then you can go and you can reach tens of thousands of people with Facebook or Instagram ads.
That's good stuff. The other thing I like about you chose to focus on Facebook and on social media. And the reason I like that is because, number one, Facebook's the number one app in the world. There's billions of users on Facebook. And then number two is you can have a sloppy website. Not that I'm advocating for that, but you can have a crappy website and still have a really strong Facebook presence. And the reason I say that is because, we used to deal, when I was VP of operations at a digital marketing company, and we were really rocking and rolling. We co-hosted events with Google. We got Google Premier Partner status, which you really have to do a lot of things to get that. Google doesn't just hand that out. You actually have to do a really good job, and Google tracks everything that every single advertiser does. But we would constantly have these customers that would say, well, I just need sales. I need sales. I need sales. I'm willing to spend $3,000, $4,000, whatever, $1,000 a month. And it's like, your website's terrible. So if we turn on Google and send a bunch of people to your webpage, let's go to your webpage real quick. What business are you in? It's like, it's awful. You're not going to get a single call. They're going to look at your website and think this is a podunk little company. And so let's rebuild your website first, then turn on the ads. And so there's another issue there, is if you want to really be effective with Google, you got to have a web presence. It's amazing. With Facebook and social media, it's totally different. And it's so much more personal. And I love what you said about the even the webcam videos. I mean, the statistics show that you either need to be really raw and just like holding the phone or webcam, or it needs to be super professional. If it's somewhere in between, people don't really think it's authentic. And so I love that. I love that idea of just having that kind of raw, real, this is who we are kind of deal.
Yeah, that's so true. What you said there with either like very well done, professionally done, or the raw. You're right. I mean, that's been our experience as well with ourselves and with our clients and students as well. It's funny. It's funny how there's just so much skepticism out there, right? So authenticity, transparency, those are the things that really win today.
So let me ask you this. If people are listening to this and they think, okay, well, I'm not ready to jump in and spend a whole bunch of money on branding or whatever it may be, but can you just give me some tips? Can you help me get started? What would you say are some steps to build a good brand on social media that people can take?
Yeah. So, all right. So this is like 101 stuff, but we work in the industry heavily all day, every day. So I am acutely aware of these things. Make sure your Facebook page is, dialed in, letting people know exactly where you operate, what you do. On your personal profile or personal Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and whatnot, make sure as an owner, as a marketing manager, sales rep, that you are optimizing your page. And I don't mean anything like behind the scenes. I mean, just like saying what you do. I am a project manager at, Blue Nail Roofing. This is what I do. Because people are doing their research, right? So even if you're not running any ads, even if you're all referral based or door knocking, that's fine. People are still going to your business Facebook page, maybe even your personal profile, to see who you are and validate that this is a quality individual that I trust to be, doing my roof or doing my project. So just make sure that stuff's dialed in. The common sense things like, trying to, if you're using your Facebook, your personal Facebook for business, don't have any spring break pictures on there, things like that. Like just be sensible about that. And then
don't post politics.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that road. But I mean, hey, it's people are doing the research, okay? Facebook stalking, whatever you want to call it. So put your best foot forward out there. Do you want to get into a couple of campaigns? Is that where you want to go with this, or?
Sure. Just any advice you have on how people can go. I think it's great. I mean, get your social media presence there. A lot of people, it's not there. And same thing with Google My Business listing. A lot of people don't even have a Google My Business listing, or if they have it, it's bare minimum. It doesn't even include a link to their website. So it's this basic stuff that I think people get so focused on growing their business, they don't take the time to manage and cultivate a healthy online presence. So I think these are great tips. I know one of the things you talked about as well is just going back to video, making sure you've got some video content that's really dialed in on what your target customer needs, and making it easy for people to take action. So how do they do that? I mean, if somebody says, okay, well, I want to create a video, well, what the heck do I say? Do I say, hey, I'm John, the owner of John's Roofing? And I mean, give them some tips on how to do that.
Sure. So with roofing and contracting, it's easy because you've got the material, like you're doing projects, right? So with me, I'm sitting behind a desk most of the day. There's only so much I can do to get creative, but you're out in the field, you're on roofs, you're doing estimates, inspections, having meetings and whatnot. So you have that raw material. So at a basic level, the easiest thing to do is when you're doing a roof replacement, even if you're doing an inspection or an estimate or a scope or whatever you're doing in contracting, just pull your phone out, just do one of these, or have someone else do it. Have someone else shoot you, say in the front yard of a job. So that way you get the perspective of you, but you also get like the property view of the building in the background or the house or whatever it is, and just explain what you're doing, right? We are replacing the McCabe's roof today because a storm rolled through here in April, and they are just busy with the whole year and everything, and they just hadn't gotten a chance to get around to it. But we were able to do an evaluation of the roof and find a lot of damage that, quite frankly, wasn't visible from the ground. We got up there, we did a thorough inspection, and we found that they did have a lot of damage. So we're going, we're giving them this product that has, this lifetime roofing system with this warranty, and it's going to be a beautiful new home. So just like the simple fact of letting people know like what you're doing and where you are and why you're doing that project, that's super basic, but very effective. Another company we work with in up in the Midwest, Wisconsin, and all over the place is Martindale Pinnacle Construction, MPC Construction. Paul Martindale and his team do a great job. They don't really run ads that much. They do a fantastic job of like exactly what I just said, whether it's on video, picture, like letting people know where they are, why they're doing that particular project. Hey, there's a storm in this area, or in this town, there's a lot of homes that were built 20 years ago, and a lot of them are coming up on the roofs are coming up on their useful life because they were built with builder grade materials and whatnot. So just simply letting people know that you're out there. And that's a basic thing that you can do, and just kind of get in the habit of that. And it doesn't have to be you if you're the owner. Incorporate this into your sales meeting. Like make it part of the culture of your team that when you're out on a project, like you do a video. You don't have to post them all, of course, but just get in the habit of doing that. That's going to be huge. And it's free. You don't have to, we've all got the equipment right here in our pockets. You run that content. You don't have to run ads. That's going to take you pretty far.
That's good stuff. Just video as you go. Yeah, and I actually bought one of those little pop socket deals just for that, so I could pop it out. I'm like, man, I don't want to drop my iPhone, but now I can like hold it. And I did a short little video while I was up inspecting a roof saying, hey, it doesn't look like it, like you said, from the ground, but while we're up here, here's what hail damage looks like. This is a hail hit. And here's the reasons why your insurance company will replace your entire roof if they see a certain number of these in a square, a 10 by 10 foot area on your roof. Here's why. And so it's just an educational video. I posted it on my personal Facebook page. Man, it got a lot of views and likes and comments and everything. And it goes back to what you said, like people need to know what you're doing because you're not top of mind. You're just not. Even if they know you well, if you haven't posted anything in 6 months, there's no way you're top of mind. We live in the most crowded environment online that's ever existed. I mean, it's just people are inundated with information. And so having a consistent plan, it doesn't have to be great, but having a consistent plan, just posting that content, letting people get to know you, I think is great. So it's awesome that you guys are teaching people how to do that. Another thing that you mentioned as you and I were discussing all of this is you said, there's really 3 media campaigns every roofing company should be running. What are those?
Sure. So for those of you who do want to get into running some basic campaigns, ad campaigns, so just let me clarify. We're talking about Facebook and Instagram. Facebook owns Instagram. So when you go into Facebook Ads Manager to run your ads, you can run them on Instagram at the same time from one platform. And I'm not talking about boosting posts. Boosting is mostly a waste of money. So make sure you're in the Facebook Ads Manager when you're running these campaigns. And you can run these for, depending on your market, like you can run these for, say, $5 a day per campaign. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but if you do it consistently, you're going to get the results of that compound effect of that effort put in, consistently. So number one is simply a brand awareness campaign. As the name would imply, making people aware of your brand, making people aware of your company. So it could be a simple video. It could be, in your office, it could be in front of a job site. Just letting people know, making people aware that you're there, like where you operate, what you do, like the basics. Provide some value. Maybe some consumer awareness tips for them, like, hey, if you're considering hiring a roofing contractor, here's what to look for, or making them aware of storm damage, like Dylan was just pointing out, and then letting them know how, for those who do want to take action or are ready to take action, make it easy, right? Tap the button below to go to our website, or tap the button below to fill out this form, and we can schedule an appointment to check out your roof. Nothing too salesy here. People don't want to be sold. But, just kind of a gentle invitation for those who want to take action to do so easily. So that's just a simple video. It could be a 1-minute video. Hey, here's who I am. Here's where we are. Here's what we're doing. We love helping our neighbors. We have a passion for what we're doing. Go check out our reviews online. I understand if you don't want to trust me, you're just seeing me in your social media feed. So, Google our company name and go check us out. And they can, see you from different angles. So that's a brand awareness campaign that you can run for, $5 a day and just pretty much run it all the time, even over the winter. And what's going to happen is you're going to build up an audience of people that are engaging with that video. Most people aren't going to comment or like or share or message you and say, hey, that was an amazing video. But we're all out there. Like, it's the silent majority of people that are out there that are, consuming but not interacting. But when you're running this as an ad campaign, you can then go back in and do a second campaign that's a retargeting campaign. So let me just explain this in a visual term. If you are, say you're shopping for like a Yeti cooler online. I think, most of the roofing and contracting industry can relate. So that's why I use that example. You might go to Amazon, you might go to Yeti.com, you might be looking at different coolers, checking out different prices, see what kind of deals are going on and whatnot. And for whatever reason, maybe you get busy or you're just, you're not going to buy it right then and there. You go to your Facebook, you go to your Instagram, you see Yeti cooler following you around wherever you go for, weeks. And that's because they know that most people that come to their website are not going to buy, so they're going to retarget you with these ads. So the same strategy that is available that big companies like Yeti or Amazon or Nike use on us, we can use as small businesses, and it's very simple. So that second campaign is that retargeting campaign. And it's a campaign that goes out to anyone that's engaged with your videos, anyone that's been to your website, anyone that likes your Facebook page or likes your Instagram profile, people that have already expressed some level of interest in your content and your company. So that's a warm audience of people that are already familiar with you. And that's when you can put out your property evaluation offers or your roof assessment offers or your financing offers or, whatever the situation is, holiday specials or whatever you have. You put those offers out to a warm audience of people that are more likely to take you up on that because they already know who you are. So that's kind of a 1-2 punch. You have the brand awareness and then you retarget with an offer. It's a very, very simple thing. It might sound a little complex because there's no visuals here, but it's pretty simple to set up. And then the third one is something that you don't always have to be running, but always have this ready to go when you want it, is a recruiting campaign. Can't tell you how many companies, and Dylan, I'm sure you see it all the time, like roofing company owners posting on Facebook, looking for sales reps, PM me, amazing opportunity to make 6 figures. Well, like, that doesn't really cut it. Like, who are you really going to attract with that minimal effort? Like, why don't you put together a video of you and your team, or get some of your team members talking about how amazing the opportunity is to work with your company and how they used to be making X and now they have flexibility over their schedule and they feel like they're an entrepreneur working for this awesome company that has a great culture and vision, and really like selling people on that opportunity. So again, you don't always have to be running that if you're not always recruiting, but always have that available so you can just deploy that, whenever you do need people, instead of just kind of posting something random on a Friday to get sales reps to start on Monday. And we all know how that works out, right? So those would be the 3 campaigns I'd recommend. And again, you can run those for $5 a day each, depending on your market, maybe in Dallas a little bit more, because it's just, that crowded. But that's a really, really good start that, 97% of roofing companies are not doing. So you don't even have to be amazing at it. Just do the basics and you'll have an advantage.
That's good stuff. I mean, you've shared a lot of really helpful insights here. We've talked about what's one of the biggest weaknesses you've seen in a lot of companies that you've worked with. What is a brand? How do you break that down? What is some really effective content to create in a video? How to do that? What are 3 social media campaigns everybody should be running? I mean, you've shared a ton of great content, and some people are going to need to just listen to this again. But if you were to distill it all down and say, okay, if you forgot everything I said, Joe Hughes, as the guy who runs Contractor Dynamics, working with all the customers you've worked with, and you've seen what's worked and what hasn't, what's your parting piece of advice that you want these guys to grab hold of with both hands? And gals, by the way. I say guys, including everybody.
Yeah, man, parting piece of advice. Be consistent. I mean, I think that goes for anything in business. But like, again, with the hiring, the brand awareness, like whatever you're going to do, if you're going to post twice a week, great. If you're going to release Dylan, you're going to release a podcast every week, great. Just be consistent with it. The thing that that I wanted to mention earlier is that most people, again, are not going to comment and like and share your content, but there are people out there watching and you don't know who they are, and you will get calls. You will get calls and inquiries all the time, and leads in all the time from people that have been watching your content for weeks or months or, maybe a year. And they're like, okay, I'm ready. I want to work with you. I want to work with your roofing company. I'm not calling anyone else. Like, how do we get started? And that's an amazing conversation to have, rather than, hey, what's your lowest price you can give me on this roof, right? So just be consistent, trust the process. And again, it's the compound effect of those, consistent efforts put in every day, every week, just like with anything else in life, really. So that's my number one thing.
That is so good. I can't remember, I can't recall the man's name, but he had one of the biggest real estate sales training organizations in the U.S. I think they trained something like over 500,000 real estate agents in that. And he also scaled his company to be a multi-billion-dollar company. And somebody asked this guy, it's killing me, I can't remember his name. They said, what's
Gary
the key
Keller?
to your What's that?
Gary Keller Williams?
No, it's not Keller Williams. It's a company I hadn't heard of before. I read this in a book last week.
Okay.
And so, but somebody asked him, what was the key to your success? And he said, consistency. And that was it. Everybody's got a process. They follow it. They do it over and over and over again. And that gets you traction over time. So that's great stuff. Well, Joe, I know there's a lot of you listening. You think, hey, I'd like to learn more about what Joe Hughes is doing. I'd like to learn more about how to implement some of this stuff. How can people get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'll keep it simple. GetRoofsNow.com. GetRoofsNow.com. And that'll give you some info on what we talked about today and how we can help you implement that if you want to take the next steps and get plugged into our training program. If not, there's some other training videos on our site there that you can check out as well.
Awesome. So for those of you listening to this, you owe it to yourself, especially if you're a key executive or owner of a company, you owe it to yourself to learn about this stuff and to get free content from Joe Hughes, and go to GetRoofsNow.com and just check it out. You only stand to gain. You won't regret doing it, but you might regret not doing it. So I encourage everybody to do that. And Joe, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.